I'm Emily Watkins, and this is the WBFO Disabilities Beat. This week on the Disabilities Beat, we're discussing disability pride. July is Disability Pride Month, and this Friday, on the 34th anniversary of the Americans With Disabilities Act, the disability community will come together for a festival from 2 to 6 p.m. at Canalside. I caught up with Chris Wiley, a musician and pastor, and Bianca L. McGraw, a poet and artist, who are both scheduled to perform at Buffalo's Disability Pride Festival. You can listen to our entire interview, including a preview of the festival, online at WBFO.org. But for this week, I wanted to share part of our discussion about what the phrase disability pride means. One of the things that always comes up during Disability Pride Month is some people hear the phrase disability pride and they go, what? And I've had people ask me, like, why are you proud to be disabled? So I want to ask you that question. What does disability pride mean to you?
These people are mean. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, like, that's the reaction, though, within our communities when people ask that. We're like, what do you mean? Like, when they're like, what do you mean by disability pride? We're like, well, what do you mean by, like, that's an odd thing to say? But I'm interested to hear your thoughts on, like, what does disability pride mean to you? And what do you wish people understood about that phrase and what it means?
So I got an opportunity. I teach at Tapestry Charter High School, visual arts. So in the graphic design class, I was like, oh, they put up a contest for the logo. None of my kids got picked, but they got a chance to take and create a logo for the Disability Pride Festival. And so there was confusion. And it was not confusion based off of the disability part. It was the pride part. The kids had all associated pride with LGBTQ pride and were unable to understand that there was a disability pride festival separate of it. And so they thought that, okay, well, no, they were like, no, they're just disabled LGBTQ people, right? And I was like, they can be. So I kept saying yes and no. And they were like, that doesn't answer our question. I said, it does, because what you said is both true. And also, that's not what the festival is about, the entire community. And so there was a discussion on it. And I don't think I ever really had to think about it as deep until you have high schoolers, like trying to really dulge out the semantics of the actual wording until the point that, like, they're researching the 80th. It's like, I understand now, I get it. And they were like, how come we didn't know about this festival? And then there was like upsetness in the class about them not knowing. And then they were upset they didn't win, but still. I think for me, I struggled because I always felt like, before I even got my placard from my vehicle, I struggled with taking resources that I felt like were not warranted to me. So I've struggled for years about hesitancy, about being a part of a community would I be taking resources from? Whereas, I was really struggling with that. And then, it really was people around me like, no, you're a part of this community. Everyone is very different in the community. And just because you are, doing these things, it's not you taking resources away from anyone. It's just about you getting resources that are owed to you, and also advocating in spaces for those who probably can't. And so I think I looked at it as a sense of, how do I do that more? And when I think of disability pride, how am I more of an advocate? What am I doing to advocate? And so I try to be intentional, like about spaces or taking up positions that allow me to kind of like have conversations or advocacy towards that. Cause and it's a struggle because I always get my way, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's pride in, understanding that we're so different. We're so diverse, and I also, for a while, was like, oh, is disability a bad word? Is it okay for me to say it? Cause I was the only one in my family struggling at the time, and just to meet other people who were so diverse and so different from me, and to the way to encompass a word. It's all about taking back a word too, because you're seeing this as this negative thing. It's not, it's just a reality of my identity right now, and that's okay. And so I'm proud of it. And it also makes me think that when I'm going through this, you're more conscientious of things that I can't do as your friend, you're more paying attention to things that other people can't do as we look at, because like if something impacts somebody close to you, it starts to make you change how you view the world entirely. And I do think that visibility, especially with diverse disability pride, makes that very important, us being out.
So for me, disability pride means accepting and being exactly who I am without qualification, without trying to hide it. Let's talk in a practical sense. There were times not very so long ago where disabled people were hidden away and kept out of public view. And in a way, we're still kind of living those times in a different way. Like, people don't talk about it in that sense and so on. But that's what happens without accessibility, is we're kept out of spaces so people don't see us, right? But let me say this also, by the way, like when you were talking about disability pride, I thought it was funny because I was like, queer and disabled. I'm like, that's me. That's me. So anyway, but that aside, like when I speak to my daughter, whose name is Hope, when I talk to Hope, I say, what I want for you is to be the most Hope you can be. Because that's exactly who you were created to be, is just be yourself, and be yourself out loud, and be yourself proud to be you, and be yourself as much as you can be you. I don't care anything else that you do. I don't care who you love. I don't care. I mean, I want all those things for you, but I want you just to be the most you that you can possibly be. And to me, that's disability pride, right? Is to be able, like, I want to be the most Chris that I can be, because that's who I'm supposed to be. I want Bianca to be the most Bianca can be. And I want Emily to be, yeah, that'd be hard to not have, right? But I mean that as the highest compliment. And like, I want Emily to be the most Emily. And you mentioned Mike Farrow, who I'm also super excited to see, by the way, like to be the most Mike that he can be, and everybody, right? Like, that's what disability pride is for me, is just to be who you are out loud, and to claim who you are and say, you know what, I belong here just as I am. It's not about having good days or bad days. We all have those. And some days you have pain, and pain stinks, right? Like, it's not fun to be in pain for anybody. And disabled people know that a lot. But even on my bad days, I still want to be the most me. And to me, that's disability pride.
You can listen to the Disabilities Beat on demand. View a transcript and plain language description for every episode on our website at WBFO.org. I'm Emily Watkins. Thanks for listening, and happy Disability Pride.